It is Thursday evening. It's 10 o'clock Moscow time, and here to talk about some music. And in the spirit of I cannot remember the name of the individual I was chatting with last night during the news stream, but it might not blow your socks off. But I think there might be some things in here. There's at least one solid album. Well, there's only one album. Let's be completely real. This is another week again where it is all EPs for the most part. I have 7 EPs and then a full-length album kind of to round things out. But that's okay. I don't know what the situation is with music releases. We'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. But there are, like, EPs are also solid. It's kind of, we're getting into, this is late spring, kind of switching into summer mode. So maybe that's also just part of it as well, where we're seeing a lot of EPs because, it's easier to put them out there, but also that kind of summer mentality is kicking over and people are not spending as much time like dedicated to being inside and listening to music and more outside. So that might be part of it as well too. I would have to go back and look kind of at what the situation was last year. Actually, I kind of know what it was. It was different, but anyway. I'm gonna take this off for now because got the air conditioner on, and so I get cold when I sit here. Karozik, welcome. But I might have to put my my flannel back on. It was literally like 31 degrees Celsius this afternoon. But yeah, I get cold in the air conditioning. Anyway, we are going to kick things off by just a quick rundown. We've got kind of a little bit of everything. There's no rap this evening, but we do have electronic, we've got rock and metal, and we do have some pop and indie. Yeah, so I feel like it's a pretty decent. And we have one of those other types of music that doesn't typically fit into those 4 main categories that I outlined. With that being said, it also, we're kind of going to bounce around where I feel like it was last week where there was just a pretty fat slab of rock and metal in the middle. So I do have the warm tea. But I'm not ready to keep a thermos in here. I'll go get tea from time to time during the day as necessary or in the evenings. But let me kick us over to our first EP. There's really not too much to talk about here. The EP is called Heart in Hardcore, and the group here is Giant Steps. This is very, very by the numbers. Very, very by the numbers, the kind of like fast, hardcore skate punk out of Bryansk, which you can probably guess by the title of Bryansk City Hardcore, which is funny because there was a group probably about a month ago, I can't remember which one it was, who had was like either Samara or Saratov hardcore, like city hardcore. So we got like a little hardcore rivalry going on. This is a different hardcore, but anyway. Let's just jump into it. Like, it really is. Like, there are, like, just the speed and, like, that intensity really reminds me of skate punk, right? Like the NoFX or the Bad Religions or those types of things. But there's a level of aggressiveness, especially in the guitars and stuff, that feels a little bit closer to hardcore. So and this feels a little bit closer to the hardcore end of things. That last one, I feel like the type of music I would have seen in a flip skateboard video from about 20 years ago with somebody doing like a 540 out of a pool or something. But and this has a little bit more of the hardcore punk edge. So I was like, when I was first listening to this, I was kind of on the fence about the vocalist, but like it kind of grew on me. Got the sort of like really uplifting and super positive lyrics, or like motivational lyrics. So you get the idea. Yeah, it's somewhere between. Okay, a little bit of the skate punk, got a little bit of the hardcore punk, but like I said, pretty by the numbers, but executed with well executed. I guess I'll just keep it simple. So that is the EP Heart in Hardcore by the group Giant Steps out of Bryansk. Moving along, we switch over to something a little different. This is the EP Skvozh by the group tsuefa. Tsuefa. I'm not entirely sure what they're going for there. This is pretty solid album artwork, though. It is just weird enough that it looks pretty simple at first glance, and then there's the dude in this countryside bus stop dressed up like he's from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, but also in a coffin, so I don't really know what's going on. I saw lots of different descriptions for this sound. Somebody saw it, or some people described it as post-punk, but just not like so depressive and doomery as has kind of been the popular variant, at least in this part of the world for the last period of time. But I also saw people talk about it as indie rock, and then also, I saw a few people mention that like there seemed to be some emo rock influences there as well. If anything, I would have to say it is definitely closer to indie rock. Some post-punk influences here, to be sure. But there are also tracks that remind me kind of like the alt rock of like the 90s. You know, not necessarily Dinosaur Jr. or Sonic Youth, like not that level of distortion. But I couldn't figure out which groups they specifically reminded me of. Anyway, I'll just play it and let you decide what it sounds like for this group out of Lipetsk. I think, yeah, we're going to go with... Like, again, in the rhythm section, in the bass line, I can see why you might talk a little bit about post-punk, but this is really just indie, right? like this is the one that really immediately that like 90s alt rock sound kind of. Yeah, which group? I'm pretty sure this is their debut as well. Oh no, they had an EP a few years back. My bad. So yeah, I see the post punk a little bit, but again, like the indie rock is definitely probably the more appropriate label to slap on it. But just that fourth track there, Городская тоска, is definitely one of those tracks too that again it reminds me of something from like the 90s alt rock of. I cannot figure out which group it is. But even I guess even into the Ted Leo is probably not a good reference, and I don't think he technically. Is Ted Leo alt rock? I don't know. It's questions I'll have to ask myself later or do digging into. But ultimately, very nice set of tracks. Like again, that's if I didn't think so, I wouldn't be talking about it. But I enjoyed it. Hopefully, we'll get something out of it. Like I said, their last EP was 3 years ago. Yeah, so hopefully they'll put some stuff out. I can see that. Musically, it's sort of mid, yet I would love to visit a show like that. I think it's also one of those things where a lot of times with this type of music, it's kind of like with the last one, the Giant Steps. This is still kind of by the books, right? It's not really doing anything new or unusual, but they still do that specific sound very well. Like, and I do really have to stress, I listen to a lot of garbage, not intentionally. That's just kind of the nature of sifting through all of the releases, or as many as I can get through. And so, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, if I find something that's like, you know, a 6.5 or maybe even a 7, then it's gonna be like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty solid. You know, if you put this release and a lot of the releases I talk about, and what was it? Kirsch, I think, is the guy who I was talking with, and who's been on the streams as well before. You know, if you put this alongside the classics, the greatest of great albums, then yeah, it's not really gonna do much. It's kind of gonna pale in comparison. But I personally, my approach to music is also kind of the same as it is with, and I think this is perhaps a better analogy, like it is with people when they are pretty active readers, or when they consume a lot of film or television shows. Film's a better one, just because like film is easier to get through, and it's just that like a lot of the stuff that you watch or read or listen to is pretty like just, you know, middle of the road, or, you know, slightly better than middle of the road, but it all gets kind of packed together into your understanding of that art medium. And And I do. I think it's interesting. Like, again, this is a group out of Lipetsk, right? Like, I don't think I've ever mentioned Lipetsk on the show. In the same way that I don't think I've ever mentioned Bryansk. I've been streaming music now for like over a year, right? I did it all last year. So almost like a year and a half now. And the fact that I don't think I've mentioned either of those cities yet, you have a situation too where like I don't expect anything massive to come out of Lipetsk. It could, but like, no, I mean, snobism is fine. Snobism is always good. And I do think that, Karosik, you're right, that a lot of this stuff that, like, to go back to Giant Steps too, yeah, it's a pretty just like whatever hardcore skate punk release, but I'm willing to bet that their live shows are just like absolutely, through the roof. Like everybody's just like having, like just going nuts. And I bet like this is one of those things where it would be, it would be in like some sort of really weird kind of hipster-esque location, but it would just be like a really chill concert, and you could imagine the energy. Like, that's always, who knows? Maybe one day they'll make. I actually did see that they are on a small tour, so I don't know. Maybe they will come around to Moscow or something. I'll have to keep my eyes open. I guess I can get Telegram open on my laptop and check it as well. But anyway, I do think that this is like a pretty solid release. I don't know. I'm like, my general rule when it comes to these releases is just like, when I listen to it, as I'm listening to it, just like, because I leave, not on Spotify, but like if I'm listening to music through Yandex on my phone or like in the kitchen or something, I have it so that it repeats. Like once the release is finished, like it just repeats all. And if I'm listening to something and when I come back around to the first track, I don't like go over to it, then that's already a pretty good sign. It's like if I'm ready to go through it again, then yeah, and I would listen to this again. Probably because also I can't figure out which group from the 1990s, early 2000s this sound reminds me of. And it's like one of those weird, when you can't remember something and it just tortures you. So this is the EP Skvozh, and the group is tsuefa. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's as mysterious how to pronounce their name as their album artwork is. So moving on, we have probably the best album artwork of the week, and honestly probably like one of the best album artworks of the year. This thing is fantastic for so many reasons. And this is the EP Война без конца from Maxim Евсиков, if I'm getting his last name correct. Tsuefa is rock, paper, scissors. I've never played. That's what you say instead of like 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I've just always heard it notions commune. Like I feel like people just tsuefa. Anyway, all right, well that's good to know. It's always kind of like last week when you explained boshki is slang for bud, then tsuefa is another one of those things. See, Karosik, you're expanding my knowledge on a weekly basis. It's much appreciated. Anyway, Evsikov here, he actually released an EP last year. Yeah, Liso Rusko Matkoro, which I talked about, and that was him doing a bunch of mathcore style music. He is a guitarist in a number of other groups. So this dude is pretty active. He's constantly, his actual self-released stuff is quite limited, but that's just because like this is something he does on the side. Anyway, this release, Война без конца, or War Without End, is epic black metal, which to me just felt kind of like slightly like blackened mellow death a lot of the time. But it is focused on like high fantasy, Lord of the Rings. The Russian author is Nick Perumov or something like that. I don't. He's like one of the probably, at least in Russia, best known Russian fantasy writers. He actually wrote a series of books that take place in Middle Earth 300 or 400 years after the events of Lord of the Rings. So it is still very much like, Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons, all that stuff. But so it's focused on that. But he says that the attempt was also to create the atmosphere of high fantasy, but also the nostalgia of those high fantasy games from the old 8-bit and 16-bit era. And that's why we have the cover art that kind of looks like it's from a Mega Drive or a Sega, as we would know it in the States. So let me just get into it. Oh, it is definitely a Sega cartridge design, 100%. Like, vocally, it's more in the black end of things, but like the actual guitar stuff and everything doesn't scream black metal to me so much, which is fine. I love this album artwork. Yeah, like this right here is such a like melodic death metal type thing, right? Like the harmonizing guitars. Yeah, that was 100% what the Sega boxes looked like. God, the song fucking slaps. And like here we get a little bit more of that black edge. If only Varg had gone off to Mordor, that would have been... I feel like there was a part in this song that really... No, we just got like the solo and stuff like that. Anyway. You get the idea. But yeah, again, kind of we have a one-man band type situation. I forget where the yeah, if you look at the credits, like Maxim is the one who is doing all the instrumentation. So again, when you have one of those situations where like one dude is writing and playing and doing all of it, then yeah, like if it's not the tightest of the tights or the most technical thing ever, then you kind of, there's a little room for forgiveness in that one. And I still think like this is still really solid. It's basically only 3 tracks. The first one is just kind of, you know, atmospheric. Right? It does feel like maybe an old menu screen music, you know, kind of, it's got that atmosphere, that energy. So, but then you just have like those 3 tracks there, and they're all pretty solid. So that is, if you're looking for something black metal, mellow death, then this is, you got 3 tracks to sort of, you know, crank up. That's the EP Vojna bez konca, and the artist is Maxim Evsиков. So, yeah. Moving on to a different metal genre. This is the end of metal, though, so kind of keep that in mind. We have the EP Pepel from the group mojeserdcesправа. This is the classic 2000s era metalcore sound. And this group right here, mojeserdcesправа, was in that first wave of kind of metalcore groups in Russia. But they broke up back in 2013, reformed a few years ago, kind of switched out some band members. This is their first release since reforming and kind of getting back into it. But honestly, you probably wouldn't tell that these guys haven't released anything in over a decade, because this thing is really good. It's a lot like old Killswitch Engage, or As I Lay Dying, or All That Remains, but without the, you know, attempted murder of the wife from As I Lay Dying, or the noxious politics of All That Remains, just like kind of from a musical point of view. I don't know, maybe these guys have also like really horrible, disgusting personalities. I don't think so. I've seen some interviews, they seem kind of like they seem normal, but let me just go ahead and get into it. So I think the first track's probably like just got like the cleans for the choruses and everything. Pretty generic like metal album artwork in 2026, so you know, I see what you did there, Kurosik. That was a nice little fun sentence. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I think it's one of those things where like with metalcore too, there's like the genre has changed and evolved, and so like metalcore in 2026 is a lot more gent oriented, right? There's a lot more of those genty style riffs, and so to have like classic is like it's refreshing, I guess is what I would say with that. Because like as much as the, you know, I still love the old albums of As I Lay Dying. Like that's just like there's no escaping that, and All That Remains too, Killswitch. But like I just like I don't go back and revisit those albums very often, so. Well, it was. Let's be honest, when this sound came out in the 2000s, it was already automatically classic because there's really no way that you can improve on this. I mean, like, adding gent to it is... It's like adding jalapeno to a cheeseburger. Like, yeah, it's good, but, like, the cheeseburger is already perfect. Like, anything that you add on top of it is just sort of... I don't know. Some level of ego. So yeah, really good classic metalcore sound. The whole thing is just like solid all the way through. But yeah, I don't know. Really, I like put like this. It doesn't happen very often, especially with like new releases when I'm listening to stuff. But when I was sitting here, I was doing some work and I was listening. I was listening to this. And like my feet started doing the double bass thing, right? Like, and it was just like that. That's it. If I'm like hyped up enough, just sitting doing work and listening, and I feel like I'm ready to run a marathon, even though I'm not a runner, right? Like, then that's a very positive sign in my book. So that is the group mojeserdcesправа. Mojeserdce. I cannot roll the R. What is going on? Mojeserdcesправа. Anyway, you get the idea. And the EP is Pepel, which is ash, and I don't see any ash on the artwork. Like, guys, come on, just a little bit more, just a little ash, but that's okay. Anyway, the music slaps. Moving on to musically something that is a little different. We have ΑУДИТ with the ＳЭЙНТ EP, ΣΕЙΝΤ. Around the same time last year, ΑУDIT also released an EP. And last year I said it's lighter electro-pop with a Russian pop-sa streak, soulful edge to the vocals, lyrics which are on the silly side, but still earnest. 4 tracks that feel geared to the warming weather and good moods. Those are the words that I wrote last year when I talked about ΑУDIT, because they released an album, or an EP. When was it? Well, I know it was last year. Was it Vojna? Yeah. This one last year. All the things I had to say about Vojna last year goes exactly the same for ΣΕЙΝΤ. Each track is a little bit different. Like, for example, the first one here has a lot of the indie dance rock energy of like the sort of 2000s-ish. But each track is supposed to be reminiscent of various styles of like urban dance music or just dance music in general from the 90s and 2000s. Which they pulled off pretty well. But this is just like kind of light, fun, dancey music. Kind of silly, but also very earnest. Kind of feels a little bit like Hot Chip. I feel like that's got to be a Backstreet Boy reference, right? Like, hold up, one more time. Like, maybe not, but I don't know. When I heard that, I was like, is that Backstreet's Back type of? Yeah. Like, if anything, this is the type of music that I would not. I would hope to hear more, not in like a hookah bar, but in. It doesn't happen so often in Moscow anymore, but now that the summer's here, like when people would drive out to a place and park on the side of the road, and then like 2 or 3 cars, and somebody would open their car door, and then they would all smoke hookah, like just parked on the side of the road type of stuff. So this is the type of music I would expect, like a hot summer night type of thing, like hanging out with friends. Yeah, we got the sax. Oh hell yeah. No, I never partook in that deep cut, but yeah, if the parking location is like really far away, then not only do they bring out a hookah, but they also bring out a mangal so they can do shashliki. So, but that used to be on the embankment, the Nabережная, across from Moscow City, about 10 years ago. Like in the summertime, you go down there, just be like the smell of cooked meat, and just be like a bunch of like 20 somethings with their cars parked down there. A lot of times from the regions, and like with like folding chairs put out and like smoking the hookah and cooking meat, just like perfect. So yeah, if you need some kind of dancey, summery vibes, then I would say go ahead with this one. We're not going to be done with summery vibes. We're going to come back to that. But if you want something kind of like fun and playful, then the EP here, ＳЭЙНТ, from the duo АУДИТ, is definitely a really good choice. Don't tell me you don't want some shashlik at a riverbank with some beer. I mean, yeah, that's of course. I think everybody does. Even people who don't know what shashlik is, I think, yeah, if you just like grilled meat, cold beer on the riverside, like that's just a universal thing. So it is. Yeah, it was always one of those things where when you would pass by, I'm just like, oh God, wish I could join you strangers. Godspeed. But okay. Shifting gears, this is the one release that's kind of not in the normal delineation of genres. This is Butоны from the Anton Ryazanov project. This is a jazz group that I have seen pop up in just like their release schedule. They're pretty active, right? This one came out. What month did this come out? I honestly don't remember. Yeah, March. Like, see, it's in my playlist. And then 2025, there were 2 albums that came out from 2024. So this is a group that Anton Ryazanov is an artist, and his project is something that I'm familiar with. I just like have not gotten around to it, even though I know it's jazz. But I got around to it this week, probably because it was an EP, and also, well, I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad I did, though. This is actually a live recording, but you wouldn't be able to tell that necessarily unless they shared it. 3 of these tracks, aside from the Blue Velvet cover, these are all like on previous albums, so I guess at some point I could go back and try to compare them if I really cared that much, but I don't, because I'm sure that in these live recordings, it's a jazz group. Like, I'm sure they're doing things slightly differently than they did on the live recording. And what the group had to say is that this is a recording, or this recording is an attempt to capture the moment, to document the raw sound of a noir atmosphere at one of the like concerts that they play. It's kind of that contemporary jazz, a little bit darker. So I honestly don't even know. We'll start with the title track, but I am just skip ahead a little bit. But understanding that it's supposed to be like, like a dimly lit kind of club bar. You can picture it. You could also imagine this being used or like very well employed in a noir detective story, right? A Dick Tracy type of thing. Dick Tracy was kind of over the top, but anyway. Had to get to some soloing, obviously. It's jazz. Where would we be without that? Just very smoky. It sounds smoky. Nah, you're good. You're good. All right, I'm going to jump ahead to the... So I don't know if it's just one of those things because there is guitar. I don't know if it's just like one of those situations where because it is like we're on the cusp of summer and the longer evenings, but even if you weren't to put this on in a smoky bar or some sort of speakeasy, you could imagine this like as a very like kind of quiet summer evening music when it's just like kind of you and the fading sun type of thing too. Also want to get the... Yeah, I love jazz flute. But yeah, that really... The sound from that sax is so good, though. Like, it just resonates. It feels huge. Like, I mean, there's a bit of an echo effect to it, so I don't know like how much that is the acoustics of where they're recording or whatever, but it does feel like it's just sort of everywhere, which is awesome. It's like a great effect for this type of music. Anyway, really nice little live jazz release from a group that has been quite active with their release schedule over the last few years. And so when they release another album or EP sometime later this year, which I'm almost certain they will, that they just are quite active, then I will make sure to sort of check in on them again. But that is the EP Butone by the Anton Ryazanov project. So, okay. We are on to the final two. And the last EP is Pustota from the group Chainspell. Now, Chainspell I actually talked about last year, but last year they had a different name. They were known as Dog Wave last year. It's kind of funny. I talked about АУДИТ last spring, and I also talked about Dogwave last spring. So it's good to know, like, certain groups seem to prefer certain times of the year, I suppose. But the description I used for them last year fits this release as well, so I'm just going to use that as well. Female-fronted dream pop, but with shoegaze and a dash of fuzz from noise rock, right? So it's just like kind of, this is not a shoegaze group. It's not noise rock. It is kind of dream pop, but it does mix those other things in to make it a little bit fuzzier sounding. The result has that twee sound of dream pop with the aggressive dreaminess that comes from noise rock and shoegaze, respectively. So let me just go ahead and play it. You'll figure it out. Going to turn it up a little bit for myself. Has the music been loud enough this evening? I think so. I mean, that's the basic sound. I will also, real quickly, if you like this sound, then this was the album that they put out last year, АУДИТ. And evidently they had put out a number of things. I think they lost one of the members, if I understand correctly. So, but Dogwave is also good. If you like this sound, it's basically the same thing. Like, this is also one of those sounds where I know I remember listening to music like this, like, again, like 15, 20 years ago, but I just can never for the life of me remember which. I always want to say like School of Seven Bells, but then I go back and listen to School of Seven Bells, I'm like, no, what the like, that's not even anywhere close. So I don't know. I dig it. I liked Dogwave last year. When I figured out, or when I read far enough into the sort of information about Chainspell, that I realized they were Dogwave. It's like, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah. Very nice EP. I don't know. I like that sound, that sort of fuzzy wall of noise types of guitar, but then those really kind of dream pop, ethereal female vocals, like kind of, again, kind of twee, but also kind of heavy. There's a nice balance going on there. So that is the EP Pustota, and the group now goes by the name Chainspell. So yeah. All right. We end with a big un. This is a beast of an album, a beast. Got the Kraken here. Too Raw for You and Me by the producer, by the artist Broosnica. 20 tracks, 80 minutes, and I think that the 80-minute time is intentional. Like what we'll talk about, but I think it has to do with the length of cassette tapes. I might be mistaken, but I think 80 minutes or thereabouts is the length of cassette tapes. This is the third and final album from Broosnica in what's kind of like a loosely connected series of albums he released over the last few years. And those albums were released specifically on cassettes for physical medium. So this is the end of his like cassette trilogy, if you will. This just feels like summertime music. Even the album artwork is just like, it's also like this low quality, 6 megapixel camera from 20 years ago. Right? Like these are the types of images. So it's just like there's a lot of like early. There's a lot of nostalgia going around for the early 2000s, and that's probably not super hard to understand, but it's kind of lo-fi electronic music. There are parts of it, there's like post-dubstep a la Burial, like heavy bass, stuttering rhythms, got a lot of ambient synth pad type of stuff. It's all over the place, but it all kind of works together. And there's just so much of it that I remember listening to this and it was just like, geez, again, after like it's 80 minutes long, right? Nobody releases 80-minute albums hardly anymore. So I remember thinking like, how long is this gonna go on? But it wasn't one of those things that was like, I got somewhere to be. It was just like, how much of this did he actually make? And it's just like, and actually a lot of it. But the good news is that it's like good. It's just like good all the way through. And because there are all these different styles and kind of different moods, you never know what you're gonna get. But it's all fine. Like everything. Start things out real simple, but I guess when you have 20 tracks, like, you don't need to kick things off with a banger. All right, yeah, I'll check out Iron Clay. Got the haunting, ghostly vocals there as well too. Oh, I love watching people play pads. Yeah. There's even a bit of that sort of, like, right now it kind of feels like we're moving into the Euro techno thing as well too. It's, so I said, it's kind of all over the place, but it's just, this whole album has such a good atmosphere, and I kind of can't highlight everything because, again, it's 20 tracks and I didn't like take extensive notes on it. I just was kind of vibing, which is the goal of an album like this, I would imagine. There's jungle in this too, but there are tracks that are a little bit of drum and bass, I should probably point out too, but There's no way I'm gonna remember. We also got a number of guests on here too. Broosnica and Summer of Haze released a joint album last year too, which was quite good as well. Jump over to Summer of Haze as well here too. Yeah, here we get a little bit of that sort of like post dubstep type of. But again, it's not like anywhere close to Burial, but again, Burial's always the reference point for that type of music, so. I mean, I think right when I said it, was just like I just was vibing. Like that's kind of what this music is designed for. It's I don't know, just like that. It's not background music, but it's that music, kind of like thinking about life music, but also enjoying life music. I don't know, it's hard to say. Hologram Gloom over Shanghai is a pretty awesome song title too. There's no denying that. So, like, it's not all just one specific style. It's all of the track. Yeah, here's what I was looking for earlier, or talking about earlier. All of the tracks are doing their own thing, but at the same time, like you kind of hear there is I don't know. Like, it's just there's a general atmosphere around this release, even though the styles and the energy changes from track to track. Like they don't ever feel like they're out of place. Even something like this, which is like really got a lot of energy involved, and it's probably just those synth pads and the overall, again, atmosphere that's going on in the background, but you know. And the album closes out with another sort of like calm, peaceful, relaxing. So it's one of those two where it bookends itself very, very well. And if you do have it on repeat, then it'll like kind of ease you out and then ease you back into everything. So yeah, just like this is screams summer in my opinion. So very good. I have to go back and take a look. I'm kind of in the process of doing that for the first quarter right now and getting my head on straight, but like we haven't had like a ton, like there have been some really good EPs obviously and some mini albums in the electronic department so far this year, but like in terms of an actual massive sizable full length, I don't think we've had one. And then, well, Broosnica has given us that. So really good, really big album here, but definitely worth a listen, especially if you enjoy electronic music or just sort of atmospheric stuff that's still, you know, like not ambient, but atmospheric in the sense of what the music is doing. So that is the album Too Raw for You and Me by Broosnica. So I am going to transition over back to me for a second, but I will check out, I'll pull her up, the, Ironclad. Ironclad DJ. Let me just go, I'm assuming on YouTube. Oh, that's not. Korean. There was some white background tracks. Yeah. Ironclad Korean. All right, hold up. Let me try to find. Do I just search for Korean DJ lady? Yeah, Korean DJ lady gives me a lot of Korean women DJing, but let me just Ironclad Korean DJ. Wait, is it Ironclad, right? There is a DJ Ironclad, but I'm not, that's Boulder Creek, United States. So check the name of it, because I'm not seeing any ironclads, but yeah, you'll have to send me the name, and I'll get it lined up for next time. But I'm not sure that the Ironclad is not turning anything up. And then yeah, if you search for Korean DJ lady, Lionclad. All right, there we go. All right, there we go. That probably feels like we'll get a Lionclad. There we go. Okay. Yep. That is. Let's go ahead and kick this back over. We'll see what we get here. Yeah. Shopping center track. All right, hold on. Yeah, I'm like, that was always one of those things where, like, especially 15, 20 years ago, I don't remember exactly, when people used to talk about like how electronic musicians didn't really do anything, and then I can't remember who it was, but the first videos like started going around online of people playing like the pads, and just like, yeah, no, like this is very clearly like one of those things that you have to have a very like, not only a good sense of rhythm, but also just like a very intimate knowledge of how the tech and everything works. So Hold up, shopping. Dolphin Shopping Center. All right, let's check out the yeah, just like the amount of setup that goes into it. So yeah, I love too, like in the corner up here, it shows you like which keys she's striking, which is yeah, and then like yeah, that's great. Just having a blast too. I love like oh, I know. Little red dude is upset. So it's like Guitar Hero, Dance Dance Revolution going on down at the bottom too. So all good, all good. Oh yeah, she's having a blast, which is great too. Like that's one of those things where, with this type of music, like it fits perfectly. Very, very good. Yeah, I'll have to. Just gonna go ahead and subscribe to that, so then that way I know where it is in the future. But yeah, really good stuff. I do like. I cannot remember the first musician who. Oh yeah, no. I always like that. It's like I remember in the past I had somebody recommend. I cannot remember the name of the group right now. It's like it was like some weird, like super underground rap group out of somewhere. It was him here in Russia too, but it was one of those things where yeah, just stuff that's off the wall is always kind of fun. The other thing too is like it's kind of like gaming the YouTube algorithm. The more weird stuff that you watch and then like potentially subscribe to, the more likely YouTube is to recommend weird musical stuff to you. And so every once in a while, like I have really long dry spells with YouTube, but then every once in a while YouTube will just drop a video randomly in like kind of the first whatever, like 8 or 10 videos that are up there, and I'll play it and just like again that old Mikhail Tamlinov, if I remember, like that old DJ was one of those situations of like 2 weeks ago or something. It popped up and I was like, this is a joke. But then I started watching. It's like, oh no, this is for real. Like, awesome. I'm so glad. Thank you, YouTube. It's kind of like during COVID, Party Boy 69 randomly showed up, or Salvatore. What's his? I cannot remember his name. What's his name? Salvatore Ganacci. Yeah. I should remember that. Yeah. So you gotta all of those weird little things. You feed them into the algorithm, and then the algorithm every once in a while will spit gold back out at you. So yeah, no, always much appreciated. But that's it. There actually were a few other albums I had listened to that I did not include, simply because I've like listened to them last weekend, and I listened to them a lot. They're good, but then I just kind of forgot I had listened to them, and I had wanted to sit down and write, and I got they were also in my April playlist, so I kind of forgot about them in that regard. But yeah, well, I'm sure Poland loves Party Boy, and I can see him being like a huge hit there. And yeah, Party Boy 69 is an absolute trip. His random like live stream DJ sets during COVID were like, man, I love that stuff. So no, I'm positive Party Boy is like killing it in Poland. So anyway, so yeah, I'll be back next week. I don't know. Is this the last Friday? No, next Friday is the last Friday. So we still got, May still has 2 weeks to really turn itself around. But as it is right now, I don't know. It kind of feels like this May has been been a lot of EPs, I guess, which is something. But, it's always kind of whatever. But there will be some more stuff, some sevens at the very least, sevens and eights on the album end of things, like some pretty decent stuff. I'm sure I'll listen to a lot of garbage too, but that is the cross which I bear, and that's fine. We're all good. But anyway, yeah, I also will have a video out tomorrow where I'll be doing a walk around in the city. I went back yesterday when I was out getting cooked by the sun. I went out back to like the part of the city that falls in the Krasnoselskaya metro station area. So went ahead and finished filming up there. So I think I got about an hour and a half. So I'll probably break it up into 3 videos. In fact, I probably will. The first one's basically done. It'll be uploaded tomorrow, so you can check that out. And yeah, everyone have a good evening, good afternoon. Go listen to some music. Enjoy the May weather. It's finally nice weather pretty much everywhere. So y'all take care of yourselves. I will see you the next time I happen to see you. And until then,